Hi, welcome to Word Chapter 2. The first part of this chapter, we're going to be talking about how you can format your fonts in a variety of different ways. So we're going to be focusing on the Home tab here, and the font group. We're going to be talking about each of these tools in the video. So first thing I'm going to do is select the whole document. And we learned a couple different ways to do that. You can either triple click here in the left margin, or you can hold down Control and press A for all, and that will also select the whole document. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to our font name here, and we can see that currently we have Calibri as the font name. And if I click on the drop-down list, as I move down the list, you'll see how the letters behind me are showing sort of a live preview of what it would look like if I selected a particular type of font. Now, the most common fonts used, Times New Roman and Arial tend to be the most common ones used. But, feel free to explore all the different types of fonts. There's some really fun ones out there. So I'm going to change this one to Times New Roman. And currently the font size is 11. Industry standard is anywhere between 10 and 12, 10, 11, or 12. The higher the number, the larger the font size. The smaller the number, the smaller the font size. So you can see here, for example, if I were to increase this to really large, like 72, it would be more for signs, etc. But the higher the font size, the larger, more room each letter is going to take up. Therefore, the more pages you're going to end up having. So we're going to set this one here to be 12. Okay. Now these buttons here, what these are used for, this one is for increasing the font size. So if I decided, well, I'm not sure, maybe 12, maybe I want to go to 14. See, I can just click that up and it will bring me up to the next font size. Or I can say, no, I liked it better at 12, and I can decrease the font size. So that will just increase and decrease the font size accordingly. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to select this courtesy of Harborview Orchids. I'm going to go to the left of it and click once, and that's going to allow me to select the whole paragraph. And next we're going to be learning about, this is bold here, so bold will make it darker. Notice that Control B is the keyboard shortcut for bold. I'm not going to bold it, but I am going to italicize it, and so I'm going to pick italic. Control I is the keyboard shortcut for that. And now we're going to go and select indoor only. Let's see, down here. So I'm going to select this indoor only plants area. And what I want to do to this, that's what I want to show you here. Watch. So when you select this, you also get this mini toolbar that pops up. You can also select italic from here. Okay, so that italicized it. All right, so I'm going to select the 3 paragraphs beginning with cool, intermediate, and warm. So we're going to select these 3 paragraphs here. And what I'm going to do what I want to do next is change the look of these to be what we call small caps. But that option is not available here on the ribbon. So I'm going to have to click on this Font Dialog Box Launcher, which is the little arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. It's called the Dialog Box Launcher because it launches a dialog box. You can see here in this dialog box that we have the font name, which is the same as what we learned up here. We have different font styles for italic, bold, bold, italic, same things that we learned here, right? It's shown a little differently here because on the ribbon it's a toggle on-off, but here in order to pick bold, italic, they have to kind of keep them together because here you would press bold, you would press italic. Okay, and then the size you would select from this list. We haven't talked about font color or underline yet, but I want to go down here to the effects area, okay, and we're going to look over here at this option of what's called small caps. And if you check small caps, you'll see in the preview box what it does is it basically takes our letters and turns them into small capital letters, okay. Other options or effects that are available here that are hardly ever used, really. Strike through literally puts a line through it. Double strike through would put 2 lines through it, okay. I don't want to do either of those things, so I'm going to uncheck that. If I didn't want small caps and instead I wanted all caps, it would literally change them to be all capital letters. The difference between all caps and small caps is that small caps, that the first letter is a little bit taller than the rest of the letters, but they're still all caps. They're just, those are a little bit smaller. Okay, we'll come back and talk about superscript and subscript in a second. Okay, so you can see how it quickly changed those. All right. We're next going to go down to the bottom of our document. So if you remember, we're going to hit Control End. That's going to bring me to the end of my document. And I'm going to select this last paragraph here. And next I want to learn about some text effects and typography. So if you notice here, we talked about bold, italic. We haven't done underline yet, but I can do that now. If I hit underline, it's just literally going to put a line underneath my text. Okay. If I chose to, I can do different options by clicking on the arrow next to it, and then I could have different types of underlines available. Okay. If I were to go, and I could also do a color for my underline. If I were to go to more underlines, which would bring up the font dialog box launcher that we were just at, we'd also have the option of underlining just our words, and so not the space between the words. Okay. So what I really want to get to here is the text effects and typography. So I'm going to go to here for text effects and typography. And I noticed that, watch when I move over these little presets, how it's changing it in the background to be, I just selected one, whatever, we decide. And what you want to be looking at, because Grader is going to be telling you to pick a specific one, when you move your mouse pointer over these, you notice how they have names to them. You want to just make sure you're picking exactly the right name. So this one is Orange Accent Color 2, Outline Orange Accent Color 2. And so that is the one that I'm going to go with. But you can see that you also have, like, you could just do the outline. You could just give it a shadow. You could just give it a reflection. You could make the letters glow. And I encourage you just to kind of play with this. Honestly, this is just kind of fun way of formatting your letters. It's not very difficult. You just highlight it and then pick it to see what it does. All right, so here we're going to pick this fill color orange. All right, next what I want to do is go back home to the top of my document. So I'm going to do Control Home. I'm going to select my text, courtesy of Harborview Orchids. This time I'm just going to change my font color. So I'm not using the typography here. I'm using this option over here of my font color. And what I want to point out here on the font color menu is it's broken down into two different types of colors, theme colors and standard colors. So watch when we go to theme colors how this is blue, right? But it's blue accent 1. And as you go down the list, you'll see that it adds a percentage to it. So blue accent 1 lighter 80%, and then all the way down to the bottom, which is darker 50%. So anytime that you see that it has a percentage attached to the color, then you're going to know you're looking for something in the theme colors area. Okay. So if you see something like accent and then a percentage, you're looking in the theme color area. If it just says a color, for example here, if I just wanted blue, then I would be looking under the standard colors, and that would set my standard color to blue. So there is a difference there. You don't want to just randomly pick whatever color you think is blue. You want to be paying attention to what that's saying to you. Okay, so now I'm going to go down back under my light section area here. Okay, and I'm going to say avoid placing the orchid in direct sunlight. So I want to call attention to this because this is sort of important. And so I can do that just like you call attention if you're reading a book and there's an important sentence in it. You want to be able to highlight that sentence. So that's this tool right here, the text highlight color. Currently yellow is selected, but you can see that you can change it to whatever color you'd like. Yellow is sort of appropriate in this case because we're talking about sunlight. Okay. One other thing I want to point out here, notice how when we picked the blue font color, it actually changed our font color to be blue. And when we picked yellow, it changed our font color to yellow. So what's cool about that is now if I decided that I wanted to, say, make this water the same color blue I used before, I don't have to go back to the drop-down list. I can just click here, and it will make it that color. So that's kind of nice. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you was the H2. I wanted to show you subscript and superscript. So if we were typing in H2O, and then maybe 10 to the second power. So here, H2O, I want to make the 2, as in the chemical symbol for water, I want to make it lower than the H and the O. And we call this subscript. Sub, like submarine, is below, right? So I've highlighted just the 2 here. And I can see that I have subscript and superscript available here. And we also remember that it's on the font dialog box launcher over here. It's kind of easy to do it here. So I've highlighted just the 2, and I'm going to subscript it. And in this case, I want 10 to the second power. So I'm going to highlight that and make it superscript. Okay. So what's interesting about this is if I started typing more text, right, see how it stays superscript? So what I can do is actually format that and then come up to here. One of the last things we're going to do, which is clear all formatting, and that will set it back to what it was before. Typically what I recommend when you're working with a document is you type the whole document in first and then come back and highlight it. That's really the best way to do it. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is this is a sentence. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this sentence. Check this button out. Okay, have you ever used your keyboard where your caps lock was on, so everything that you typed in uppercase it made lowercase, and everything you wanted in lowercase it made uppercase? Well, the good news is you don't have to retype it, because this button will allow you to toggle case, which would, in this case, will look ridiculous because that's what it would look like if you had caps lock on when you typed it. But basically, you can set it back to be sentence case. You can set it to be all lowercase. You could set it to be all uppercase. You could choose to capitalize each word, which is often used in a title. Okay, so this drop-down list provides you with all of those different options. Okay, so I encourage you to explore this format font area. Check out the font dialog box launcher. And there's even some other things over here in the advanced category where you can extend the spacing. This might be in part of your assignment, so let me just show you this quickly. Spacing, for example, if we did expanded and we said by like 2 point, watch how it just stretches this out, right? So that was under Font Dialog Box Launcher, Advanced. Under Spacing, I picked Expanded, and then I went to 2 point. Okay, that concludes our